Hey guys, it's Melissa with Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. I wanted to talk to you today about second chances, starting over, taking a new path. Oftentimes, when we are young, we pick a career that we think we want to do for the rest of our lives, or we enter into a relationship when we're young and we think this is what I want for the rest of my life. And then when we get older, we realize that we feel kind of stuck because when we're younger, we don't necessarily know what we want, or even if we think we know what we want, that can change over time. I'm definitely not the same person that I was when I was 18. And the 18-year-old me thought I knew everything, thought I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And I've changed my mind several times over the years. When I started off, I didn't want to be a German teacher. I got my degree in German, but I got my minor in business and I was going to do international business. And my first job was as a finance manager. And it sucked. I hated that job so much. And I dreaded going to work every day. And it felt like every day lasted 24 hours at work. And that I had been there for 12 years and I hadn't even been there a whole year. So things happened. The universe pushed me in a direction. Things happened in my life that really shook me up. Like I ended up getting married and having twins, and then I ended up getting divorced, and the divorce kind of pushed me in a different direction to where I had to figure out, okay, I've got to go back to work because I had stopped working when I had the twins. And I thought, okay, I've got to go back to work, but I don't want to do the same thing I did. I hated that job. So that led me to go back to school and to get my teaching certificate, which I probably would never have done in the beginning. So that led me onto one path. And then I've talked about this many times before, but then, I was teaching and, life was pretty good. It wasn't bad. And I had a relationship and that ended suddenly and it was very traumatic for me. And that led me to a different path, which led me to Reiki and to spiritual teaching and writing my book. And so that led me on a completely different path, but I believe that it shifted me a lot closer to my higher purpose. And that would not have happened if I was too afraid to take a risk. Because I will tell you, there have been times in my life where I was afraid, but I've kind of had a motto that I've lived by, and it's been that whatever makes me afraid, I try to do that, because I want to look fear in the face and say, you know what, you're not going to stop me from doing what I want to do. And a lot of things can be scary. Going back to school was scary. It was really scary for me because I'd been out of school for 10 years almost. So going back to school, it was like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to do this? And then I had to work on top of going back to school, and can I handle all of this? And it wasn't easy, but I did it. And looking back now, it doesn't seem like it was that big of a challenge. I know it was at the time, but now I'm like, you know what? I got through it and it was no big deal. It worked out perfectly. And then when it was time for me to get my master's degree, same thing. I was teaching full-time and taking online courses, sometimes 2 or 3 classes at a time while teaching full-time. And at the time, I think to myself, I must have been crazy. But I did it and I got through it, and though it was a little scary at first, it all worked out. But if I had let fear hold me back from doing that, I would have never been where I am now. And same thing with doing the podcast and writing a book. If you told me I was going to be doing a podcast, I would have laughed so hard. I'm like, no, that's not me. Nobody wants to listen to me. I don't have anything to say. What am I going to talk about? And I never would have thought that I would have talked about spirituality or improving your life. But here I am. And I'm doing it every day. And I love it. And I love connecting with people. And if I was afraid to take the risk, I would never be here. You wouldn't be listening to me. And things would be a lot different. So my point is this. If there are any areas in your life where you feel stuck, when you feel like, okay, I don't like my job, I don't love my job, But I've been there for so long, and I went through all of this education, and I'm here, so I should just suck it up and just do it. And yeah, I might not like it, but I'll get through it. And I'm going to stop you right there. Life is not about just getting through it or getting by. So anytime you hear yourself saying that, like, oh, I'll just get by or I'll just get through it, go ahead and stop yourself right there, because that's a reality check. You're not doing the thing you're supposed to be doing if you feel like you just have to make it through. And I'm going to tell you that you're not going to have every day, even in a job you love, there are going to be days when you don't want to do it, you don't want to be there because you don't feel well or things happen. But for the most part, you should like going to work. You should not dread going to work, at least. But there's so many people who do just that. We live our lives day to day and we don't like what we do. We dread going to work. The weekends fly by and the weekdays drag by. And when you feel yourself getting to that point, you know that it's time to move on. And I'm sure that Spirit has probably been giving you messages that it's time to move on. So this message is for somebody out there. Somebody needs to hear this. You were not meant to live a life of just ordinary, of just blah, and nothing exciting happens, and I hate my job, and my family, I'm just not really close to them, and I'm not happy there. That's not the life you were meant to live. So if you're feeling that way, if you're feeling stuck in any area of your life, you need to move your feet. Okay? So if it's in your job, it could just be that you're in the wrong place. Like maybe you like what you do, but you don't like the company you work for. Maybe it's just time to find a new job. Maybe you don't like what you do. Maybe what your career isn't satisfying or fulfilling to you anymore. And that's totally possible. If that's the case, then you need to think about changing that. And yes, change is scary, change is difficult. But when you find something that just ignites your soul and you have a passion for it, it's such a difference. It's amazing how much that changes your life, because teaching for me was that I hated going to my other job every day, and I would dread it. And with my job now, it's flown by. It's been 12 years and it feels like just yesterday I got my job. So I can't stress that enough. You really need to be doing something that really you have a passion for. And that's probably, if you have a passion for it, it probably is part of your life's purpose. And if you're not sure what your purpose is and you need to find that, there are meditations out there for that. But you can ask for guidance. And you may even already have an idea of what it is you'd like to do. And it doesn't matter if it seems daunting or, oh, I'm going to have to go back to school and I hated going to school. Don't let that stop you. Really, don't let that stop you. It may sound like I love going to school with as much schooling as I did. I don't. I don't like taking classes. I don't like writing papers. I'm just like everybody else. I'd rather not do the work. But I understand the necessity of it. And I know that it is helping fuel my passion, which is teaching. And so for that, I will continue to strive higher and to learn more and to do more. And it's the same thing with the spirituality too, with Reiki. Like, I want to be better at that. I want to know, how can I get better? How can I learn more? So when you find your passion, you don't dread learning more about that. You want to learn more about it because you know that that's what you should be doing. If you're in a relationship that isn't setting your soul on fire, and yes, I know, when you've been married a long time, sometimes a little bit of the passion fizzles out. That's fine. That's not what I'm talking about. You can get that back by making, you can reconnect with your partner. There are ways to do that. This is for the people who feel stuck, who know that they're not in it anymore. Their heart is not in it. They don't want to be there. And I was there. I was there where you are, where I knew I did not want to be there. this wasn't good for me. I did not like this situation, and I didn't like who I was in this situation. I had to get out. And it's scary. It's very scary. And it would be so much easier just to say, well, you know what? This is life. I guess this is as good as it gets. We'll just stay here and stick it out, and hopefully we don't kill each other and we'll survive. No, that's not life. Nobody wants to live that way. Don't set yourself up to live that way. Nobody should feel unhappy or stuck. That is not living. Okay? That is not living. I don't know what else to say about that other than I know that it would make God very sad to know that people live life unhappy and miserable just because they don't want to take a risk and try something different. And you know that saying, if you do the same thing, like if you do what you always do, you're going to get what you always got. And that's so true. If you keep doing things the same way, the same things are going to keep happening. You're going to repeat the same cycles. And I learned that with relationships. I kept doing things the same way and I kept getting the same results. So I had to change myself. It wasn't the people that I was dating that had to change. It was me that had to change. Because it was what I was doing in the relationships that was causing me to attract the kind of people I was attracting. Or for the people to react in relationships the way they reacted. I had to learn about myself and change me. So you're going to have to do something different if you don't want to feel stuck anymore. And it can be scary and it can be daunting and you can just want to hide and retreat. But darling, if you just take a risk, your life can change and open up in amazing ways. You can be opened up to so many awesome opportunities that one day when you've gone through the storm and you've been through the rough patch, you can look back and say, wow, look where I was. I was way down there. Not happy, stuck, feeling lost, empty. And now look where I am, happy, fulfilled. That's how I feel when I look back at my life and I look back at where I was. I'm amazed by how far I've come. And though I'm not perfect and I have to work on myself every day, I know I'm not that anymore either. So something to think about, not staying stuck. And I pulled a card for you guys, again from the deck The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein. And it says, when I accept the love of the universe as my primary teacher, I will always be guided back to the light. So if you rely on the fact that the universe loves you and has your back and wants you to experience these things so you can grow and experience a better life, you're going to be guided back to the light. And you are the light. You're the light for so many others. Imagine the example you would be for others too if you stepped out of your comfort zone and did the thing you were afraid to do. Crazy, right? But you never know unless you try it. If you're ready to step outside your comfort zone today and learn more about how to improve your daily life, how to get rid of those old limiting beliefs, first of all, to discover what they are. Most of us go through our whole lives not even realizing we have limiting beliefs or what they are. But those are the beliefs that we've told ourselves, which are just lies we've told ourselves, that keep us stuck where we are. Excuse me. You're not stuck for no reason. You're stuck because you've had the same belief patterns for years, and you've never changed your behaviors or your patterns, your thought processes, your mindset. You've done the same thing over and over and over and over and over, and this is where it's gotten you. You're stuck. So if that speaks to you and you feel like you're stuck and you're ready to get unstuck, check out my program, A Purposeful Pilgrimage. You will learn every day how to get unstuck a little more, a little bit each day. It's broken down into bite-sized material so you can take it in one day at a time. And it's just small changes and improvements you make to your life. And over time, it adds up to big changes and improvements. So check it out. It's still on sale. I want everyone to be able to take advantage of this. It's only $52 right now, 22 days of lessons. There are also additional resources, and I add to the resources all the time. The lessons are yours to keep. You can revisit them anytime you need to. I have meditations there. I have tappings there. Everything you need to get you going on your new path to discovering your purpose, your passion, your life. So check it out if you're interested. If you're interested in Reiki, check that out too. Some of my tribe members have been experiencing ascension symptoms, and that can include neck and back pain. And in fact, I have been experiencing back pain too. So I've had to do Reiki on myself. And I've had a few of them coming to me asking me to do Reiki for them. And they said it makes them feel so much better. They're like, immediately I could feel the neck and back pain leaving. So if you're interested in Reiki, check that out. I can do it distantly online, or I can even do it distantly so that you're going about your day and I'll tell you when I'm doing the Reiki for an hour, and you can just keep going about your day, but you'll feel better afterwards. So if you're interested, check that out too. The description for my website, or the link for my website, will be in the description of this podcast. And I hope you guys have a fabulous day, and don't stay stuck. Don't stay stuck. You know, I love you guys, and I want you to live your best lives possible. And that's not being stuck. That's not going to give you your best life possible. So check that out. Get unstuck. Be good to you. Be good to others. I'm sending you massive, massive amounts of love and light. I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.